Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I upload every Wednesday. I do videos on the lesser known missing person cases that I find. I mean, absolutely no disrespect or harm in these videos. My mission is simply to get the lesser known cases out there. Today's case is on Karen Ann Spencer, who disappeared at the age of 17 back in 1989. This case was actually suggested to me by one of Karen's school friends. And it seems like there are answers to this case, but nothing is being done about them. So it's kind of a frustrating one. Karen had been staying at the apartment of her brother Curtis and his wife Christy. She was helping them pack up because they were getting ready to move to Florida, and plans were in place for Karen to move with them. On the night of December 29th, 1989, a fight had occurred between Curtis and his wife Christy, and Christy stated that she would not be going to Florida with her husband. Karen and Christy left the apartment, getting into Christy's black Buick Regal with Karen at the wheel. At approximately 3 a.m., the girls were driving along Interstate 275 in Miami Township, Ohio, and they got into an argument regarding Karen moving to Florida with them. And Karen got so mad that she pulled over near the Madeira Loveland exit and got out of the vehicle. A man driving a 1982 Nissan Datsun B310 stopped and asked the two women, if they needed help. And Christy told him to kind of get out of here. And Karen said, "Get in the car with a stranger? Do you think I'm crazy?" After exiting the vehicle, Karen began walking north along I-275. Christy said she pulled away from the scene before she saw what Karen did next. Christy felt, extremely guilty, and I'm sure she was very frightened, but she remained truthful about what she saw and did not see that night. A witness did come forward and told the police he saw a man in a red car burying a body at Lake Isabella in Loveland just after Karen's disappearance. It is believed that the witness was lying and that he just wanted to be part of the investigation. He did lie about his occupation and gave inconsistent accounts. However, the Lake Isabella tip was all the Spencers had to go on, as it is rather close to I-275. They searched the woods surrounding the lake and got approval to dig and search for a body. The family even hired a psychic to search Lake Isabella, but the searches turned up nothing. A woman driving the same night on Interstate 275 claimed to have stopped and offered a ride to a young girl fitting Karen's description sometime later in the early morning hours. And according to the witness, the girl appeared to be cold and she was walking along the road at a brisk pace all by herself, but she was headed southbound, which is the opposite direction Karen was walking when Christy last saw her. The witness said she pulled over to offer assistance to her, but as she did, a young man in a red pickup truck with Kentucky license plates pulled up in front of her, and Karen smiled like she recognized the man and walked over to the car. So the witness assumed, that she was getting a ride from this young man, and she left. And as she left, she observed Karen talking to the young man through his roll-down window. The woman did not come forward until 1990 when she saw Karen's picture on a news broadcast. A resident of that area had been out walking that night and claims to have heard screams coming from the direction of the interstate around the same time Karen would have been walking. Police did question a man who admitted that he had seen Karen that night. His name has never been released, but he was in his early 20s, had a mustache, and had just gotten out of the military. I've also read that he could have possibly been in the music industry. He stated that he had been driving the red Datsun B310 that night and that he had stopped to offer his help to both Karen and Christy, but he denied any involvement in her disappearance. But police have noted that his statements over the years do not add up. He knew information only the killer would know. There are certain points of the case that have never been released, yet he had knowledge of them. When he was interviewed by the police, he knew what Christy and Karen had been arguing about while they were in the car, but he was unable to explain how he knew that information. How in the world would he know that? Okay, maybe when he pulled up, they were screaming at each other and fighting. So maybe he heard part of the conversation, or maybe Karen ended up getting in his car and telling him all about it. Authorities said the man gave inconsistent statements, but he passed the polygraph and was ruled out of the investigation. FBI behavioral scientists later reviewed the polygraph results and stated they believed the man was manipulating the test. A friend of the man claims that he talked about Karen's disappearance before she was even reported missing. And the day she disappeared, he cleaned his car twice, and then the car vanished, just like Karen did. The car was never sold. It never went to a junkyard for a salvage title. It was never relicensed, and he had canceled the insurance on it. I couldn't find information on whether the police had a chance to search the vehicle before he got rid of it. I'm assuming he did not. I'm assuming they didn't. In February of 2000, a family uninvolved with Karen or anyone related to her received a very disturbing call. Someone they did not know called them stating that Karen was buried in Renfro Valley, Kentucky. Like I said, the recipient of the phone call did not know Karen and was unaware of her case, but they contacted police to report the call. It was apparent that the caller had intended to call Karen's parents but had misdialed. The call was traced to a BP gas station in Hamilton, Ohio. The call ended up being proven a hoax, and the man who made the call was charged with interfering with a police investigation. He was fined $500 and given a 45-day jail sentence. And this guy had a history of making prank calls to surviving relatives of crime and accident victims. Who does that for fun? At the time of her disappearance, Karen was 5 foot 1 inches tall and around 120 pounds. She has blonde hair and hazel green eyes. She was last seen wearing a black jacket, a lavender top, and blue jeans. She is the youngest of 7 siblings, and her parents described her as someone who would have not gone willingly, and she would have fought back against an attacker. They said she was spunky and stubborn, but a really good kid. Karen was a senior at Reading High School and was employed at the King Mills Frisch's restaurant as a waitress. She only had $7 on her when she vanished, and she left behind 2 paychecks from her serving job. She disappeared 2 weeks before her 18th birthday. Law enforcement is convinced that the man they previously questioned is responsible for Karen's disappearance. He has not been arrested because they feel they do not have enough evidence to secure a conviction. And they have never publicly identified this guy, which makes me absolutely crazy. They continue to ask for information that will lead to evidence necessary to arrest him. But how are his friends, coworkers, neighbors, family members, people that know this guy, how are they supposed to report something they saw that could be a clue if they don't even know that he was possibly involved? They wouldn't come forward with information because they wouldn't know he was the last person to see a girl that was missing. People who knew this man and might have seen things wouldn't likely know Karen or about her case. He could have had defensive wounds or injuries or been acting anxious or strange that night. He could have been asking for help disposing of the car. That car might have ended up in someone else's possession, and the new owner of the car would have no idea that the car was linked to an abduction and a murder. Her family recalls a prosecutor asking once if they'd be satisfied with agreeing to a lighter sentence in exchange for the location of her remains, and they said they absolutely would. Yet the only suspect has been charged with nothing. And he won't be as long as his identity remains a secret. But authorities do know where he is, they keep tabs on him, and there is no statute of limitation on murder. Karen's family has been waiting for 30 years. It'll be 31 years in December, and it makes me so angry that the community has not been given the information they need to look for clues and come forward with anything they may know. Foul play, of course, is suspected, and her case remains unsolved. Guys, please keep Karen's story out there by sharing her flyer, sharing this video, and telling her story. If you have any information that might help police find out what happened to Karen Spencer, you are urged to call the Miami Township Police Department at 513-732-2231 or Crime Stoppers at 513-352-3040. Information may be submitted anonymously. Thank you all so much for watching. Please don't forget to give this video a like, hit that subscribe button. I upload every Wednesday, and I will see you next time. Bye.